Okay, so we're in the middle of, I don't want to say the most important mission in Shas, because all mishnayos in Shas are important, right? But if someone was coming to this religion and someone asked you, I can keep one mishnah at this point in my life, only one mishnah. So of all the mishnayos, we should tell him to keep this mishnah. He keeps this mishnah, he'll end up keeping everything else as
Is it the
well.
one you want to present to him when he comes?
Okay, that's you have to know if he's holding it. That's a good point. Perek Gimel Mishnah Aleph, the third parak, the first mishnah. So let's read it inside again. Akavya ben Mahalal el Oymer. Histako b'shloisha dvarim. Look at three things. Ve'i ata ba lidei avera. And a person will not come to an avera. Da me'ayin basa. Once you know where he came from. La'ana tahoylech. Where he's going. L'fnei mi'ata asa b'tein din v'cheshbon. In front of whom is a person going to have to give a din v'cheshbon, an accounting of what he's done. I think the Gross says din v'cheshbon. Din means the mitzvahs and the various a person did, and cheshbon means that when he was doing averis he could have done mitzvahs, and he wasn't doing those. So that's the din v'cheshbon. Din is the averis, and cheshbon is that at that time I was also losing out on the opportunity of mitzvahs. I could be learning Torah. Ma'ayin basa. Where do you come from? Zok the Mishnah mitipa srucha, from a putrid drop. That's going to humble a person. La'ana tahoylech, and where you're going, l'makom offer rima v'saleya, to a place of dirt and worm. Everyone's going to be worm food. Pleasant thought. Maybe you shouldn't tell the guy in his first Shabbos meal. You shouldn't tell him that. I don't know. Having second thoughts, but l'makom offer rima v'saleya. Maybe you should. L'fnei mi'ata asa litei din v'cheshbon. Who are you going to give the accounting in front of? L'fnei melech malchem malchem b'kodesh baruch Hu, in front of Kodesh Baruch Hu. So a person realizes, I come from nothing, I'm quite a humble beginning. Where are we all going? Right, the great equalizer, we're all going to the same place. Though it's hard to believe that we are going there. And who, in front of whom must we give the accounting? In front of Kodesh Baruch Hu. So if I had this thought every second of the day, we give the mashal last week, that if the cop car is driving behind you, and the challenge was, if every time I broke the speed limit, I got a ticket. It would not be any sign, it would not be hard for me to not break the speed limit. The challenge in Yiddishkeit is even if I view the police car behind me, but I don't get a ticket when I speed. When I make a brach without kavan, nothing happens to me. So that's the added challenge when it comes to ruchnius, when it comes to Yiddishkeit, is to have that koyach hatzi, or have that image of getting the punishment, even though it's not going to come until later or in a different form. So that's pretty much what the Rabbeinu Yonah says. Once a person thinks about where he's going to go, he's not going to want to have the tanugim of Olam Hazeh. He's not going to want to have all the fun and games that we have in this world. He's going to focus on more important things. And in front of whom he's going to give din v'cheshbon. So he brings over ideas. He says that there's a wonderful thing that we have called forgetfulness, right? And as we say, time is the healer of all wounds, which is true, that a person suffers a loss in life, and the feeling is so acute, and after a while, it always is going to it's going to dull. But that's how Yaakov, there was a tzad, Yaakov, that's a kasha Yaakov, he should have known Yosef was alive. He was mourning for Yosef like the day he died. And I think the Lashon Rashi there's a bracha that HaKadosh Baruch Hu put into the world that eventually one forgets. And he wasn't forgetting. So the kasha is, how come he didn't realize that Yosef was still alive? If Yosef is really dead, like the brothers told him, it should have gone, it should have been dulled, and it wasn't dull. So that's the mitzvah, is that a person's embarrassed, he falls down the stairs, and everyone saw him, that's embarrassing, but after a while, it gets a little bit dull. But in the Olam HaEmes, once the guf, that's the guf. But once we separate the neshama from the guf, all one is left is with the neshama, it's the same pain, the same embarrassment that one experiences when it happens, forever. It never gets dull. So that's what one should contemplate, says the Rabbeinu Yonah, if they meet also after us the din v'cheshbon, forget the punishment, it's the embarrassment that Hashem gives us a life, a finite life. It goes by pretty quickly, relatively speaking, and to do mitzvahs, and to keep the Torah. And we got distracted by this, and by that, and by this, what's going on in the politics over here, what's going on over there, and this thing. And we lose sight of the goal. And that embarrassment, that busha, is going to be the fair enough thing to experience. And Mishnah is telling us, if we keep this in mind, then we will not come lidei avera. It's a pretty bold statement. Iyata bo lidei avera. Something to think about and to contemplate for sure. Mishnah Beis. Rabbi Chanina Sgana Kahanim Omer. He used to say, "Have mispalo b'shloime shel malchus." A person should daven for the well-being, for the peace, the shloima shalmachas of the king, of the government. Why? If it wasn't for the fact that people feared the government, ish esre'eyu chayim b'lo, we would swallow each other up. If we didn't have fear of government, we would swallow each other. That's what the Mishnah says. So let's hold there and see the Rabbeinu. Rabbeinu says, he says that without the fear of the kingdom, she kasha aleinu. He says it's difficult. Right? It's definitely difficult back then, especially. It was very to keep the laws and the fear of punishment, and the person did break the law and he got killed. It wasn't a pleasant thing to have the moira, the fear of the malchus. And it could be a person would wish, I wish there was no government here. Says the Mishnah Perkei that it's much worse not to have the government. Why? It's actually very appropriate coming after Parshas Noach, that a person should be concerned about the welfare of everyone, the entire world. And he should be pained if anyone in the world is feeling pain. This is the way of the righteous. When I see others in pain, that causes me to be in pain. I put on my sackcloth. Keep on banging the table. Just be careful. That a person should not just daven for his own tzrachim. Our tendency is, even in the Shemona Esrei, that if we notice, is all Lashon Rabin, Rifa'enu, Baruch Aleinu. We're never davening for ourselves in particular. A person might have the thought in his mind, he's davening for himself. But if you look in the words, that's really inappropriate. Really, a person should be davening for everyone, not just for himself. For everyone, and if you daven for the shalom of the kingdom, the malchus, then everyone's better off. So even though for me, maybe it's better not to have a speed limit, I'm a responsible person and I'll drive safely. But for other people, it's dangerous. And then in turn for myself also, it's dangerous. So a person should daven for the shalom malchus because for the society, it's better. And we have to be concerned for society. Some shuls daven, they have the bracha for the American, the government of the States of America, the Mshallah. Some shuls don't. Now the Mishnah says you should daven for the Shalom Malchus. Exactly, some shuls don't do it. Why? So probably, I'm assuming, I never researched it, it's because it was never done. Right? Whenever you have a shayla, what you should do. A good idea. Let me Mishnah Perkei says, maybe we should do it. So think, okay, what happened in previous generations? Did they have? I don't think in previous generations they had it in the shuls. I remember my grandfather's shul when I was a kid, and all the plate hashoya, they didn't have a bracha for the mal. Vice they didn't do it. I don't know why, but it's not a. Mishnah's not saying you have to have an institutionalized tefillah. I'm not saying it's wrong to do it. I'm just saying that not to do it.
It could have been because they were in oppressive governments, so obviously they don't want to, daven for their oppressive governments.
Okay, so that's a good question. I mean, the Mishnah says. The Mishnah says mispal b'shlom shalmach. Now, okay, the Nazis probably will draw the line for sure over there, but the Mishnah is saying having government is better than not having government. You can argue, I'm not making political statements, but was the Middle East better off with Saddam Hussein or without him? That's a hot topic, right? Is Libya better off with Gaddafi or without Gaddafi? Meaning, the whole country, I don't know the atrocities they did and Yesh Ladin, but there's a mile in having government. There's a mile in having rule. Even if he's gefährlich and it's horrible, it could be better than anarchy. It could be better than having chaos and having no one there. But it's an excellent point that Eitan's making. How far do we extend this Mishnah? The Mishnah doesn't get, in the times of the Mishnahis, there was gefährliche governments. There was the Romans, there was horrible governments. The Mishnah doesn't qualify, also Rabbeinu doesn't qualify. So one extreme way to learn it is to say that by definition, government is better than lack thereof. It's always going to be better. I don't know if there could be exceptions to that, but on the whole. But again, it doesn't mean you have to put it into the Nusachat Tefillah Meshul. Everyone should daven on their own for the government. But as a state Mishnah, but Rabbeinu is learning the Yisoid is, not for government, the Yisoid is that I care about others. Davening for the government is an example where I'm davening for the welfare of society, not just myself. And the devil should be the focus in davening. A person should not just be focused on his own needs, but on others' needs. And the truth is, you can even be selfish in that if you daven for someone else, you get answered first. If I daven for myself, it's okay, fine. HaKadosh Baruch Hu listens to my tefillah and does what he does. If I daven for someone else, and then myself, it's more of a segula to be answered. So we can even turn it into a selfish endeavor The main thing is to make sure we're davening for others, not just ourselves.
But isn't that the nusach of the bracha and the Art Scroll Siddur is about, grant them strength whoever vis-a-vis Klal Yisrael. It's not let the president or whoever be powerful, it's let them be favorable to Klal Yisrael. So it's exactly what you're saying.
That bracha for sure. I'm just saying that many places, and the shtickle included, are just weary of changing anything in the tefillah. We don't want to change anything. Whatever we have that our grandfathers and great grandfathers, that's what we want to do. We just don't want to change. These people took out your comportment because it's Aramaic. And it's a slippery slope once you add and subtract. So we try to keep things the way it was for generations. But still, a person should daven for the Shalom Shalachos. It's not. We're not saying you shouldn't daven that there should be rule of the government. For sure, one should. Is that satisfactory?
I think it's been for a while, though. Even for about Siddur.
This is
Rabbi Victor Miller comments you should do it.
In his shul, he had it.
He said you should do it.
He had that tefillah said in his shul.
I read it in one of the things that comes out from his organization. He said it.
How about for the family?
I think that was unique. I think most shuls did not say. But there are many shuls that did not say.
Young Israel.
What?
Young Israel does.
Young Israels do. Young Israels do. For sure they do. But in Europe, it's interesting that in Europe, was it a common thing?
The Sephardic shul I went to in Lisbon did it.
Most shuls I've been to do not do it. Again, it's not a political statement. Most shuls do not do it, besides Young Israel.
I don't know if that's true.
The shuls I've been to, most
I feel like maybe according to region, it's more prevalent in some areas. Like probably Lakewood, it's probably less common. Where it's out in town
I don't know about
places.
that.
No, well, I'm saying like we're in
You
town
have to
places.
ask the
probably
previous
like,
generation. I'm curious to ask the older generation, people in the 80s and 90s. Who remember Europe. Was that? I mean, it's not in the standard.
Which is more like the way this shul is.
But it's not in the standard siddur, right? It's interesting. Your comporkin is the bracha for oisik b'tzarach tzibur is. It's not in the standard siddur.
You put it in the back of the.
So regular art school.
Art school is already an American post World War II. But the siddurim of you take your grandfather's siddur, it's not going to be in it. Maybe in the Portuguese or Spanish student they do have it in there in the old siddurim. Siddur Beis Yaakov is a place to look and see. But I don't think, but I shouldn't make the statement, I'm not sure, it was a prevalent minig in Europe. My question is, what happened in Europe before World War II? Did most shuls say it? That's my shot.
Right.
That's why I brought Rabbi Victor Miller.
So that's one example. Right? That's one example. Right?
I think the ikar of having a strong government, a government that keeps the laws, is preventing Jews from being murdered.
Yeah,
That's the
right.
ikar. And lawless with constant robbery, theft.
For sure, no one says you shouldn't. The Mishnah says mispalel b'shlom b'shlom. For sure, one should daven for the shlom b'shlom. There's no question about
I
it.
think it's a chiyuv. We should do it. I think everybody should do it.
Definitely, the Mishnah is saying it's a
It
chiyuv.
should be done by every shul. I think we should.
It's a separate shul. You put it into the shul. It's not a steer. The shul's not going to do it because the shuls don't. Some shuls don't do it, and that wasn't the minig in Europe, let's say. But everyone should do it after shul. Everyone should down and do it themselves. It's not a saying it. The guy getting up and saying it is not what the Mishnah doesn't say God by how basic Knesset has to get up and say it, right? We can still daven the Shalom Shalom without putting it into the official nusach of the shul. Once it's a slippery slope. Once you start.
The good news is it's not really a hot topic. People don't really
I know.
But again, it's not a fully a new thing because it's said here in the Mishnah. Meaning, it's not you're taking something out of nowhere and adding, right? It's you still going back to a source in the Mishnah.
It's definitely not usher. For
right.
sure not. The question is, a person just has a sheet that I see other places doing things that are wrong. They're taking things in, taking things out, putting things in. Reform changed the system. It's a reform thing to do. They do it also. So should Orthodox shuls just be careful not to at all get into that type of. The siddur is a very precious thing that we have. So even though it's very praiseworthy, some people are. We say the kinas for the shoya. Some won't even do that. We don't want to change anything since there's an air now of change and modernity, and we just want to be a loy plug. Nothing changes. There is such a mahalach, which I think makes sense. We say the kinas for the shoya, but I definitely appreciate both sides, and this is why I appreciate both sides. Is it diplomatic? Got it.